Have you ever been seated in a bar, cafe, or restaurant and overheard the people at a nearby table? They're louder than necessary. Some of them know what they're talking about, while others clearly don't. But more often than not, they're fascinating to listen to, right? Well, that's us here at the A&A Coffeehouse. So pull up a chair, hang out, and eavesdrop. We don't mind.
Hello and welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse. Go ahead and have a seat wherever you like. Adam and Anthony will be with you shortly. While you wait, please enjoy a cup of our delicious coffee. As always, we have Colombian, cappuccino, espresso, and Americano. For our specials this week, we have the Death of Scalia and another set of espresso shots. Enjoy the fireplace and warm ambiance while you listen to the band, the Corner Laughers. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and tune in.
The elder Capuchin offers absolution to the people of the town.
Ariel, who is the band that is playing the opening song, and what is the song
The
called?
Corner Laughers. You can find them on iTunes, you can find them on YouTube, and a link on our website and all our social media.
They play up in San Francisco, right?
I mean, they often go to San Francisco. They've been all over the place. They play shows in Sacramento. They play songs in the Bay Area, including San Francisco, Redwood City, Berkeley a lot, actually. They've been to the UK. They actually played where the Beatles first played.
So if you like them, if you like their music on iTunes or their CDs, you can easily go see one of their shows somewhere around here.
Yes, and if you're curious as to what song it is that you're listening to, it is called Dead Sicilians. So
They've
look
been
them up.
gracious enough to give us
Allow
the use
us
of their
to
music.
use their music.
You will be hearing a lot more of it as time goes on. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the A&A Coffeehouse podcast. This week, we've got 3 topics, like always, and our first one is a biggie.
Is it like Biggie Small, or...?
The first topic is Biggie
Biggie
Small.
No.
If Biggie
Quite
Small
large.
was a
Oh.
Supreme Court justice
Oh, okay.
with entirely different opinions.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry.
So, aren't you going to introduce who's here tonight?
Including
On the
yourself.
show?
I
Yes.
suppose I will.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be creative.
Oh.
All right. I'm your host, Adam Kincaid. Along with me is my co-host, who you just heard, Anthony DeFranco.
Buongiorno.
Sitting to my left is our reoccurring guest host, Alvaro Gutierrez Valleres.
Hello, how are you?
Directly across from me is our red-headed producer, Ariel Ayers.
Hello.
And sitting to my right, dressed in a kind of turquoisey thing,
It's a sweatshirt,
Is-
Adam.
It's a hoodie.
Sweatshirt.
It's a hoodie.
some complicated female contraption.
It's a hoodie.
Hoodies just sweatshirts with hoods on them?
Yes.
So then sweatshirt was right.
But he said thing. Hi, I'm
guess he was
Brittany,
wrong.
and I'm in a blue hoodie.
Is Brittany
That looks
staying?
green.
It's aquamarine, maybe.
How are you doing today, bro?
It's cyan. Cyan.
You're doing cyan.
She's from Siam.
Interesting.
No. No. The color cyan.
So today, we are sitting around and we are enjoying a lovely box of Dogfish Head beer.
I would have loved it if he just said of dogfish heads.
Yeah, Dogfish Heads. How do you like it, Alvaro?
It's nice. It's smooth. It's good. IPA is usually a bit more bitter. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a nice toasted aftertaste. No, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, this is very. This beer is very, very popular with the United States military.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lots of their parties and whatnot, they get a bunch of the cheap beer because they're buying for many, many, many people, and they'll go and get some of these for like the special people, the elites.
Us.
Yeah. We are the 1% of the 99% with the other 98%. All right, so
Now, I'm not sure what views Biggie might have on constitutional originalism, but
I would really, really like to find out.
right now we're going to move on to someone else who's been the paladin of that particular reading of the Constitution. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So isn't it about a Supreme Court justice, right?
Yeah, so our very, very first topic Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia
And,
passed away on Saturday, the day before Valentine's Day.
and weren't we saying something last week about what if they have to replace a Supreme Court justice?
We
under
were
Obama?
just talking about this, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we were.
It's crazy. All of a sudden, then this happens. You know,
And quite a
Scalia.
relevant one.
Yeah. He didn't he die like in like some Texas country club or something?
A ranch.
Oh, some ranch. Okay,
In his sleep.
in his sleep. Mm.
Yeah. And, oh boy, there's so many different parts to this to talk about. First off,
Moment of silence.
who's
No,
Antonin
I'm kidding.
Scalia? Who is he?
He's a conservative. He was the first Italian American conservative on the Supreme Court, I believe,
That he was.
put in by Ronald Reagan,
Yes.
President Reagan. And then he was very controversial with some of his remarks. They're very, very old-fashioned, beliefs, right? But though I've heard from some people he was a constitutional. He was supposedly, this of course from the Republicans, a constitutionalist.
No,
And he
not
tried staying
originalist.
to the
So not from. I mean, that's the description of the judicial philosophy he followed. It's not on the part of.
But he was like
He was a constitutional originalist. Like,
Yeah.
He believed that you couldn't-
Originalism is his thing that he came
Yeah.
up with. He made it the big thing.
And he made it a credible
Yeah.
thing. Before he was a Supreme Court justice, originalists would be laughed out of academic circles, and today they're well respected.
And this
what
is
they
one
say
thing a
is
lot of
that,
people hate him for.
The Constitution isn't something that can be adapted for new times. The things that were written, laws that are written, have a particular meaning. And they have to be understood with the meaning that they had at the time they were passed. And if you want something new in the Constitution, you need to add that into the Constitution and not simply interpret it to fit your new fads. And that was the point that he took, and that's the position that he usually defended
And that
in
is
his decisions.
there's got to be something more to that because that is just factually wrong. There's something in the Constitution called the Elasticity Clause, which was put in by the Founding Fathers saying, hey, the times are going to change and you need to be able to reinterpret the Constitution.
Yeah.
Not quite. The Elastic Clause means you can do those things which the Constitution asks you to do, even if you need means that aren't directly mentioned in the Constitution. So, let's say that the Constitution says you can ban Twilight, the book Twilight.
Can
It's
we?
written into
I'd
the
be
Constitution.
in support of
They were
that.
prescient.
Yeah.
They were prescient, and they said that this book is going to come along. We need to
I
ban it.
mean, no,
In
don't
that-
ban books.
Then exactly, if that were in the
But
Constitution,
vampires shouldn't
as a
sparkle.
corollary, you
They're
you should have
terribly
the
written.
means to
They're terribly
take those
written.
books and do whatever you needed to do in order to do that. That's what the elasticity clause is. It doesn't
And it's
mean,
what we use to do highway control things, and it's what we use for
Yes.
the internet, and it's what we use for...
but it doesn't mean that you can now change the meaning. And if the Constitution at one point allowed for
That's
this, now
correct.
it doesn't. Or if it once forbade this, now it doesn't.
That is absolutely correct. And that's not how... I don't know Scalia personally, but that's how a lot of the originalists don't use it. They say, the Constitution doesn't say anything about the internet, thus we can't say anything about the internet. They use
That's
that all the time.
certainly not Scalia's point.
That's why I said the constitutional originalism,
Mhm.
not Scalia specifically. But so originalism, I disagree with on its basis. It's wrong.
Well, then you disagree with that particular presentation of originalism.
Well, actually-
you were saying that he is one of the main proponents.
But Scalia's on my side on this one. Scalia has a very, very famous interview where he says that he frequently goes against originalism. Like when it comes to civil rights and various things like that. Because if you read the original thing, the Founding Fathers certainly did not want civil rights.
But wasn't
Yeah,
he?
I just spent
wasn't
the
he?
week-
Wasn't he one of the Supreme Court justices though that gutted the Voter Act from the '60s?
I don't know who was on that side of that. I don't know who was voting.
But in any case, I was rereading a few of his dissents that I'd read for fun, and reading some of the others that I haven't read because I don't really usually read Supreme Court documents, and reading a few interviews with him. In all of them, he has either defended originalism explicitly or defended positions which are originalist. Not once have I heard him say, I do not agree with this when it comes to civil rights.
Scalia calls himself a faint-hearted originalist.
Yes,
He does
but then-
not follow originalism when it comes to civil rights.
No, then he
does-
actually repudiated that that mention of him in a later
Yes, he did.
in a recent interview. Says,
Yes, he did.
Says I was.
Recent interview from the
So I did describe myself as that, but I repudiate it.
Can you do that?
Yes, you can.
Right, Trump does it all the time.
Yeah,
He
that's
also
what I
makes
mean.
shit up so often.
Yeah. It's like, what, 1999? He said he's so
Yes, you-
pro-choice and pro-abortion and everything. Present day, now he's against it, but still likes Planned Parenthood.
So you're a stout-hearted one. I try to be. I try to be an honest originalist. I will take the bitter with the sweet. What I used faint-hearted with was in reference to flogging, right? It's flogging. And what I would say now is, yes, if a state enacted a law permitting flogging, it is immensely stupid, but not unconstitutional. A lot of stuff that is stupid is not unconstitutional.
Which is part of him being disingenuous in the same way that Hillary Clinton frequently is, and just off topic. In his actual quote, where he talks about it, he says that it's because of civil rights. He's one of the ones who stood up for civil rights. He said civil rights is a thing, we need to protect civil rights, blacks need their rights, they need freedom, sort of stuff like that, and that is against the Constitution. I am not originalist when it comes to those regards.
Well, if he
If we
says
were
it's
following
against
the
the
Constitution-
Constitution, it's in the Constitution. Now, what he said is, if it's in the Constitution, then it's right that needs to be protected. But if
And he's
it isn't
saying
in there,
in the Constitution,
but if
black
it
people
isn't
don't
in
deserve
there, we
rights.
cannot go. But because it's in there, the 14th Amendment says that everyone has equal rights under the law. But extending this to mean things which that didn't originally mean, that
Oh, yeah.
isn't
And
okay.
that I still agree with. We never disagreed on that part.
Well, then that is originalism.
And the originalism that you can't change things and whatnot is wrong.
We're editing
The
all
elasticity
this.
clause says that you can change things and reinterpret things. Originalism says that you can't. Originalism goes against the elasticity clause.
The elasticity clause literally says, literally just gives Congress the power to pass laws necessary and proper to carry out enumerated lists of powers. That is exactly what it is. It
Yes.
doesn't mean,
And it is how
It
they
doesn't
make
mean
all
that the
laws
judicial-
regarding the internet.
but it does not mean that the judicial branch has the authority to reinterpret things to mean things other than what they originally meant.
Which I
That is
agree
all.
with.
That's all that it means.
And
That
the
is the only thing.
originalists-
That is exactly what originalism
Yes,
means.
and you are
Another
ignoring what
thing-
I'm saying. You're ignoring what I'm saying.
No, you're applying elasticity clause as if it were an interpretive tool for a judicial branch. It's
I'm not.
It's something
How they
exclusively
make
tied to the
exactly.
executive branch.
So how they make all laws regarding the internet, all laws regarding copyright infringement, all laws regarding
Is by
airplanes
analogy.
and thing, using the elasticity clause.
Right, but that doesn't have.
And
That's
the
nothing to do.
originalists say you cannot do that. They say the Constitution gives you no rights or anything to make any laws regarding the internet. Scalia did not. The originalists do.
That you're just applying
This is where
originalist
he
to
does
mean
not
the
agree.
brand of originalist that you disagree with. Scalia, as the largest figure, the most relevant figure in the originalist movement,
Who
did not believe
referred to
this.
himself for almost 17 years as a faint-hearted originalist before taking it back later on. Just like Hillary Clinton keeps doing, and everyone keeps saying bullshit Hillary Clinton, including me. I think Hillary Clinton would be a good president. I will vote for her if it comes to that. She fucking backtracks all the time. And not in a good way. Everyone backtracks. George W. Bush backtracked
That
all
was
the time. A lot of it was
There's an entirely different
Exactly,
thing
see?
between a politician in electoral times or electoral calculus changing positions and a Supreme Court justice who really doesn't need to change his views in order to get more or less support because he has the position, modifying the way he describes something. These are more intellectual, academic
Yes.
arguments and positions.
So for
it's
17
not-
years,
so,
Scalia was
so
on my
comparing
side
it,
in this argument,
comparing
then he
it to
eventually
changes,
switched.
comparing it to changes with Clinton or with so many of the Republicans is not. It's just not a fair comparison. And saying that originalism is something other than what one of the main intellectual figures in originalism says it is, that's disingenuous too.
Well, and see, now you seem to be accusing me of doing something that the originalist movement is doing. They are saying Scalia does not agree with us on a lot of this, and Scalia spent years saying, I do not agree with the other originalists. They are an organization, one single... Well, not an
It's not an
organization. They're not an
organization.
organization.
It's a school of
They're a
thought,
group
and
of
in schools
people.
of thought, they're
Yes.
tendencies.
Yes.
And you're
And Scalia
siding
is
with one
not.
particular tendency, saying you are anointing them as the originalists, and saying all of these others within that same intellectual
Okay.
movement are
Assuming there's 701 originalists, 700 of them say one thing, Scalia says something else.
Brittany, go.
not. You don't have
What
to.
are you arguing about, essentially?
Whether
I
Adam
think you
can
guys-
decide what originalism is and who counts as an originalist. I say no.
The mass
No,
majority
is
of
that
people
really
who
what
say
you're
they're
arguing about?
originalists.
Because it sounds like you're arguing about Scalia's standpoint.
Whether he is an originalist, yes.
Do you realize he's dead?
Really?
Yeah!
I missed that.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's the subject.
Oh my
I believe,
God!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But
So what are the
Honestly,
implications
vaguely
of
aware he was
that?
alive.
How did he die?
Oh my God.
Oh no. Okay, well, the real story is he was hanging out with some friends. I guess at the bar or something, or whatever, over at the place he was at, the Texas resort, right?
A ranch.
Mhm.
Ranch.
The Texas ranch.
It's a little
Ranch.
different.
Okay, so he's at a friend's ranch, which looks like a resort. But anyways, he's at his friend's ranch. He's having some drinks, but he was saying he wasn't feeling good. He wasn't feeling very well, so he went to bed, right? After everyone left, he went to bed. And they found him the next morning, 79 years old, in bed with a pillow on top of his forehead, because a lot of us do sleep with a pillow on our forehead, right? So they found him, he wasn't breathing, and he was dead, and that was it. Yes.
Mhm.
So
What does that mean?
He died of natural causes, unless you're Donald Trump, you don't think that happened.
So what is Donald
Donald
Trump
Trump and a
saying?
whole lot of other
Yes.
people.
I haven't
So-
heard anything that he's saying.
Donald Trump and the right-wing extremist conspiracy
Mind you, Donald Trump
nutbaggers-
actually didn't start this one. Someone else started it. Donald Trump jumped on the bandwagon.
Okay, well,
Of
someone else
course
started
he
it,
did.
and
He will.
Trump, like always, jumps on the bandwagon. And Mr. I was about to say Mr. Trump. Mr. Stupid, Donald Trump. He he's now doing the same thing that he was doing with Ted Cruz's birther thing. But he keeps implying his questions
Mm-hmm.
that, in a sense of like, well, this, they need to definitely look into it. There's something strange going on here, stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
And so when you imply stuff like that and do kind of an innuendo kind of thing like that,
Uh-huh.
it makes people,
Freak out and
the
think.
really low information voters go and like, oh yeah, Scalia was probably murdered. Oh, Scalia was murdered. Murder. That goes around. It's kind of like the whole birther thing, how it started. A couple people were talking about it. Oh, Hillary Clinton started the birther movement. So it started with Hillary, then the right-wing people jumped on board after.
Including Trump.
Yeah, including Trump. And, first they did the thing where they're questioning his birth certificate, like in a question form, instead of actually saying, he's not an American. But then afterwards, it went on to becoming people saying that he wasn't an American. It's crazy
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The conspiracy theories
Yes.
about this.
There's more?
Right now, a lot of people are accusing Barack Obama of having hired hitmen to take out Scalia.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
even weirder right now,
my
a lot of
God.
people are accusing Spock of having done it.
Spock?
Can we point out that
Star Trek?
Leonard
that
Nimoy
poor
is
man
already
is
dead.
already dead?
Yeah. No, there's a conspiracy going around that Leonard Nimoy is the one who put the hit out on Scalia.
How do they
So
think
what
that
does
he's
Scalia
doing
got
that?
mean?
He's dead.
They don't think he's dead. They think he's hiding out somewhere.
Like Hitler.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Hitler
out Scalia.
and Leonard Nimoy
Are hanging
decided to hang out and decide to come up with a plot to kill Scalia.
Antonin Scalia. I am.
Of all the people that they wanted to
never
take
have
out.
been your friend.
And it turns out you guys were both correct about where he died.
Uh-huh.
He died right underneath this banner that just popped up at the Cibolo Creek Ranch, which is a ranch in Texas on the border of Mexico, and it is an expensive private resort.
Ah.
So it is a ranch and it is a resort.
Oh, nice.
Well, we'll give this one to Anthony, because
Mhm.
if it's a resort, not a
Mhm.
ranch.
It's called the ranch.
Oh my God! Do not do this. We are not going to argue over
Everything.
You're right on that one. No, you're right.
So anyway,
We're
anybody
all
else
right in our own
have any
special
other
ways.
information on this, or are we moving on?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
So,
then let's
what
get
does
on
this
with
mean
it.
for the Supreme Court?
There we go.
That means that there's going to be probably a tie if they don't fill in the seat for the Supreme Court.
All right, so first let's talk about, are they going to fill in a seat for the Supreme
The
Court?
They
Republicans
need to
say hell no. Actually, the extremist Republicans say hell no.
Of course they do.
The regular Republicans are saying, well, let's wait till we see who Obama picks first before we say no. And then yeah, so it all depends on who the president picks, pretty much.
Well, Republicans are understandably cautious about this
Mhm.
because when a Democrat has put someone forward to the Supreme Court, they tend to vote more or less in consonance to what they were expected to vote. They vote in bloc. I mean, think of Sotomayor or Keegan, and what are the other two that are the Democratic appointees? Do you remember?
Bayor and
Anyhow, four of them. And four of them who reliably vote in bloc into big, contentious ideological issues.
Mhm.
The Republicans, you have, the swing vote Kennedy, and just
Thomas and Alito.
I mean, you have a lot of people who, in very important cases, have really surprised Republicans going against them. So a Republican thinks... Ginsburg. Oh, goodness. How did I forget Ginsburg? And in any case, they expect that if a Democrat puts forward an appointee, that is going to be a thoroughly liberal judge.
They're having a case on the healthcare overhaul, the Obamacare.
Was it about the nuns?
Yes.
Yeah, the nun case.
A number of faith-based hospitals and colleges and charities are suing Obamacare.
Okay.
The reason, weirdly, is because Obama made an exception for faith-based places when it comes to having to pay for contraceptives for women. So in Obamacare, there is an exception saying you have to help pay for women's contraceptives, you have to help with that kind of medical care for women, unless you are faith-based.
Okay.
If you are a religious organization that says you're against all this stuff, you do not have to contribute.
Are these...
That's Obamacare.
But no, who are the people who are suing because of this? I've heard people suing in order to extend the exemption.
Well, that's kind of, yeah. It's the same thing.
Oh.
So, a bunch of them are suing because they say, even though we have this exemption, so we don't have to pay for that, by helping pay for Obamacare, we are, by default, helping these women obtain birth control.
There must be some women out there that they don't want procreating.
So, the Supreme Court is now hearing whether the exemption for faith-based medical organizations extends far enough, or whether they should be even more exempt.
People must love going to court.
What I've seen as their concern has been both the definition of what a religious institution is. The definition right now says if you have people in the staff that are not of the same religion, then you're not faith-based. And if you basically have to be a church or a monastery, but if you're a Catholic college founded upon Catholic principles, then you don't count because you don't have only Catholics on faculty, and you don't only have Catholic students. So that on one part, what is a religious organization, and on the other part...
Before you move on, again, I find myself in the middle on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think these Christian colleges are religiously based. I think these Christian charity-run hospitals are based.
Those
I think
are
Christian charities
based,
are religiously based. Yeah. Obamacare does not count half those as religious-based. I think Obamacare is wrong on that. They are clearly religious-based. On the other hand, some of these groups that are suing saying we're religious-based organizations, such as Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby, are bullshit.
Yeah,
because they're businesses.
You sell chicken, get over it.
Yes. Businesses are made by people. And people have religious opinions.
Supplies.
And
I think
so
your religious
if you're
opinion
making
is irrelevant to be you being a religious organization.
If you are selling chicken, you are not religiously...
If you're selling chicken...
At least you're selling chicken in the church's kitchen.
But what you're saying, if you're selling chicken, you must now eschew your moral opinions and conform to what the law says you must do.
Yes!
You're mildly...
Yes!
You're mildly...
Yes!
We can just say
that. Because there's a difference in religion and the law. Microphone. There is a difference in religion. Your religion is your personal life. The law is where your business is. Your business is underneath the law. And in the law, you're not supposed to discriminate.
So if the law... So is the law able to override someone's conscience?
What?
Yeah, if someone feels that doing something is going to be so contrary to his moral convictions that he cannot in good faith do it, then you're saying he must either
Step down.
not go into business, which is it's not, you're not saying must not be a clerk in where was it, Kentucky. You're saying he must not have a business if he wants to conduct himself according to his moral opinions.
If
As
he
of the way
It's
things work
dangerous.
right now, yes.
If
Yeah.
he wants to,
And that is exactly what, since we spoke of Scalia before, he meant by saying you're describing people's hostes humanigeneris. You're saying because of your moral opinions, they're so abhorrent to what I describe as absolute morality by the law, you cannot count as a citizen. You cannot have the same rights as normal citizens.
But it's not as a citizen. It's as somebody who can change other people's lives. They can, like Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby. They make decisions that affect other people's lives. Their jobs and their livelihood is affected by their religious values instead of being a separate entity from their religion. It is,
either
they're
you
not
pretend
being a
that-
church. They're not being a church.
So
it's not
but
like you're
then
joining
either you
a church.
pretend that those things that you do, the
Church
company
of
that you
Hobby
make,
You know?
That'd be terrible.
so either you pretend that the company that you've made is completely morally independent of you, the things that the company does
Yes.
are not what you do.
Yes.
Then if
Well, I
the
think that's
company,
the
if the
default
company
right
that
there.
you've
But the
made,
company
is independent of
is
you.
not you.
A company
if the
is not
company is
Well, no, because-
is contracting child labor, you are guilty of this.
But that's
You're
also
morally
illegal.
guilty
That's
of this.
illegal.
And that's also
So
your
if the
decision.
company is paying for contraceptives and you think that contraceptives are morally objectionable, you are morally guilty of that. In the same way.
But it's the
So you're
difference
saying,
between the
if
law.
you believe that something's morally objectionable and cannot pay money to it, then you cannot have a company.
No. The law is you pay for the contraceptives. You don't take the contraceptives yourself. It's
You are not
that
using
fucking
them.
simple.
It's paying so that other people can take care of their own
Right,
bodies.
you don't. Let's put something else that
You're imposing your choice on someone else.
Not drawing moral equivalence, but just putting to something else that we all consider morally objectionable. Let's say we all think that it is morally objectionable to contract a hired killer. Saying, I'm not contracting the hired killer. I'm giving someone else money so that they
But that's
contract the hired
illegal.
killer.
But
You
no,
gotta,
No,
if you're going to do
we're not
something,
talking about the legality of something.
Wait,
Let's
wait,
take
wait.
for granted that they make it legal.
Both of you,
Pause.
let me put I agree with both of you halfway again, and I have a rationale that fixes this analogy right here. What I believe is someone famous said it, I don't remember who, is that you have the right to do basically anything you want. You are allowed to walk around town swinging
Yes.
your fist any way you want, and your right to swing your fist ends right where Britney's face begins.
Because then you are infringing on her right to not be punched in the face.
So you are absolutely allowed to say no to contraceptives, but you cannot when you start hurting her.
Right. When it starts
Which then
imposing on
ruins
other
your
people's
analogy.
rights. And,
No, it
You
doesn't.
cannot.
How?
You
no,
are
but
allowed to hire contract killers as long as they don't kill anyone.
because then that is
Because
infringing
that
on
is
somebody's
where
right
their
to
face
live.
begins.
So then you're not allowed to hire contract killers because that's
You can
the
hire a
objective
contract
of
killer to go
contract killers.
gardening.
No, because then you're not hired a contract. You're calling a gardener who
Well,
happens to
and
also do contract
The
killing.
difference where I think you're going to go with this is that the law. We've been saying we have morality on our side, or the law on our side.
Mhm.
If the law said contract killing was okay, we would still be against that because that rule still applies. So it's not the law.
The law
We've
just
all been
happens to
using
go
the
with
law on
this.
our side. I don't think it's the law. I think it's morality. Your right to do something ends where someone else begins. So if the law says contract killing is okay, then we would all be against that law.
Morally,
Which,
what you
but
can't
that
do-
goes exactly with what you were saying about child labor. It's the same thing. Is that you are contracting to have a kid do the work, and it's
Again, you are full on
Forced
hitting that child in the
So
face.
here, then we're asking whether the company is materially collaborating in what the person considers as evil. So if a company is directly contracting child slaves, then yes, it's materially
Yes.
cooperating in evil.
And
So
again,
the question is, if the
partially
company
right here-
pays for someone else to have contraceptives, are they materially cooperating in it?
Well, again, the
Now-
difference here is you're using the word evil. I'm saying hitting in the face.
Which is an evil. An evil, I'm using it in the
Not
world term,
necessarily. I'd
meaning
love to
something that
punch
is
Ted
bad.
Cruz in the face. I don't think that'd be evil.
It's not
I still
evil.
have the right to do so.
I'm
And I back the right that I don't have the right to punch Ted Cruz in the face. I don't. It's his face.
if it's less contentious, let's say something which is wrong, something which is considered morally wrong. So
But that's
if-
where
now,
we're drawing our line
if-
of morals. is
If
where it
what we're
hits someone else
saying,
in the
if what we're
face.
saying is that the company needs to say that if this person uses contraceptives, we must say that they cannot work for us any longer, then you might have an argument. Now, if they're saying that, okay, we're paying them a salary, they can do with that salary whatever they want, but I'm not paying anything extra for them to be able to do something which I think is wrong, because then I'd be paying for something which I think is wrong.
Some
I'd be
people
materially
disagree with
cooperating
surgery and
something which I
medicine.
think is evil.
Are they allowed to not pay for other people's medicine if they give benefits?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witness.
Well, I mean, that's one.
Christian Scientists.
Christian Science is funny. But that's why.
It's just that it's the same principle. Is if you disagree with paying for something for somebody else to do,
That has to do with their health.
There's plenty of them.
because there are other reasons.
absolutely.
But there are other reasons to use contraceptives other than I want to have sex and don't want to get pregnant. There are other reasons. So paying for it doesn't mean that you are.
for something other than stopping pregnancy, then it's not being used as contraceptive.
But it's a contraceptive, and they don't want to pay for the contraceptives.
No, they don't want you paid for contraception. That's a completely different thing.
That is not a completely different
No,
thing.
I mean it is. They make that distinction. It's completely different. I mean,
But it's not a different thing. It's
yes.
either
Their
allowing
their
them to
objection
do it
isn't
or to
this
not.
pill made of this component. Their objection is to contraception.
The
Yes.
point is,
But getting the contraception is the part that
they
they're
want
paying
to
for.
be in business and they want to provide this health insurance. They can't just pick and choose.
Yeah,
If they want
that's
to
what
be
I'm trying
in
to
that
say.
kind of business, they can go somewhere else and do something totally different, and where they don't have to provide health care. They can do that, but if they're going to be in that business with the law that is present today, they have to follow it no matter what their
And
moral.
that's exactly the point. You're saying that someone who has those moral convictions that preclude them from directly collaborating with something which they believe is
they have their
objectionable
choice within the
cannot,
law.
No, you're saying they do not have a choice. They do not have. They
No, they
cannot
have their
choose.
choice in the
no,
law.
they cannot choose to collaborate with that, because choosing that, especially if they have a religious conviction, is committing a mortal sin. You cannot do that. So you're saying their only choice really is either to betray their moral convictions
No, I
or
wouldn't say
to do
betray.
something else.
Are they
So do
taking the
something else, you're
contraception
saying
themselves?
they that hold those
religion
moral
and morals
convictions
are personal
cannot
things.
participate in the marketplace.
Religions and morals are personal things that you don't impose on other people.
Which is the
That's
this is the
Exactly.
entire
Then do
base of
not
the argument.
impose having to pay for contraceptives on people who do not want to.
You are imposing that on your employees.
No, they can go ahead and buy contraception.
But
they
that-
should be paid
but they're-
well enough
but
to be
they're-
able
no,
to
but they're-
pay for whatever
but
the
they're
heck they want.
offering-
But the law
health
is that they
insurance.
shouldn't have to do that.
Yes, and that law is wrong. The law that says
Yes,
that the
but you
company
live
is
in America,
forced to
and that's
do
what the fucking law is.
Well, and I'm saying that law is wrong. That's what
Okay,
this whole
then-
debate is
I
about.
agree that this whole law is wrong. I think we should be on the single payer health system where the bosses don't have to pay for us. Tina shouldn't be paying for us. No one else. The government should be doing it because we pay taxes to the government. So that would solve all this.
With the law we have right now.
That is the law in Spain. I don't like it.
Yeah. But that would solve this problem.
It would
Yeah,
solve,
so
this,
all
it would solve
problems.
this particular
Because the
problem.
government cannot pick and choose which problems they get to help with health-wise and which ones they...
Well, they
don't.
can. I mean,
It would make them
there's a
douches.
huge argument to say, is contraception really a health issue?
I mean, that's
It's-
like right now.
You're saying, I'm going to make this particular organ system not work.
Here's a
And
simple
that's
way of
health
doing
now.
that. Here's a
No,
simple
that's,
way of doing
that's
this one.
trying to make my...
We can
this is a
completely
lifestyle
drop the
choice, not a health choice.
We can completely drop the controversy out of this one right now, because right now, health insurance companies say that if your teeth are rotting into your head,
Which is-
that's not a medical emergency.
Yeah, it's cosmetic.
Yeah, teeth are cosmetic.
And that's actually the first time I want to say something bad about Spanish healthcare. That's a thing there. Dental care is not included in Social Security. That you have to do.
Where do they
separately.
include dental care? And
I don't know, but they
Like
really
nowhere.
should.
like nowhere. For some
I mean-
reason that like you'd think that's common
I get
sense.
dental
Let's be-
care with my work. I love it.
But it's not medical.
Every
But it's
6
not medical.
months.
We're saying
That's
it
just
not
an
being a
added
medical
Dental is
thing.
always separate
Your
from
job's
medical.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Dental
Yeah, that is
always
It's a
awesome.
very
separate
good
from medical.
company.
All right, moving on to coffee beans. Our very, very first coffee bean is Ariel Ayers.
So you guys all like Bernie Sanders, yeah?
Yes.
Who?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders,
Yes.
the Jewish man,
Yes.
the man that kind of looks like Doc Brown.
I would have Bernie Sanders, baby.
Even if he wants to try.
Well, you're on a close
Wait, what?
strain of thought there.
Even if you have to break it and steal it from him?
Have any of you used a dating website?
No.
Don't you wish you could mix Bernie Sanders with a dating website?
No.
Congratulations, you can! BernieSingles.com.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Holy crap, there's a dating website just for people who want to vote for Bernie Sanders.
That's great.
Isn't that the best thing you've ever heard?
This is beautiful. But did you hear
Look at
about
the logo. Look at the logo.
This reminds me of. Oh my goodness.
It's his hair.
I mean, this reminds me of the whole tattoo parlor thing. You know, there's a tattoo parlor in Vermont offering free Bernie Sanders tattoos. And another tattoo parlor offering free Trump tattoos. So there's that. I don't know who would do either.
No offense to anybody that does it. I don't judge you, but I could never get a person's face on my body. That creeps me out. Just like, oh my god, there's someone staring at me from my elbow. All right, I put that there. You know. So yeah, that's my coffee bean. It pleased me to no end.
Okay, my coffee bean is. I remember seeing an article and also seeing something on TV about it some time ago. This was in Africa. I think it was Africa, and this husband sends his wife on a vacation, right, to somewhere, and then hires hitmen to kill her, right. But when she got to the destination she was going to, the hitman kidnapped her and said that, and then they told her that they don't kill women, and gave her the information, right, that to incriminate the husband and let her go.
Isn't that the plot of Snow White?
That's what I was thinking.
No, but this actually happened. And so the husband thinks the wife's dead. He's having a funeral back in their home place, right? And then all of a sudden, the wife walks into her own funeral, and he's screaming like, "Oh my God, she's a ghost! She's a ghost!"
Was that literally the plot of Snow White?
No. But this has actually happened. And then the lady, she in turns. She says, "No, I'm not a ghost. I'm alive." And then here's the police. They're arresting your ass now.
Wow.
And the guy got arrested for trying to kill his wife.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I think so.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like about 10 years in prison, though, so it all depends. The weirdest thing.
10 years for trying to murder your wife?
It was around 10 years, yeah. It wasn't the U.S., so it was some foreign country.
Yeah, no, Spain has really ridiculously small sentences. So
yeah.
I
like some places you commit murder, it's only 30 years in prison.
Yeah,
you go.
that's the maximum in Spain.
Oh, wow.
You cannot be more than 30 years.
Is there parole after that? Like here?
And it could be before that, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because I think in like Guatemala or El Salvador or something, there was a serial killer who killed like 40 kids. And he got arrested and he got sentenced to like 30 years in prison. And so he did 30 years in prison. They said, "Okay, you're free to go." And he said, "I like it in prison. I'm a good person in prison. I don't want to kill the kids. I'm just compelled to. Please don't let me out of prison." And they said, "You have to go. Your time's up." And he said, "No, you're not listening to me. I swear to God, if you let me out, I will start murdering children again. I like being a good guy. I'm a good guy in here. I go to church. I write. I have friends. I'm a good person now. Do not let me out. I cannot control it. I will begin murdering children again." And they said, "You have to leave." So they let him out, and immediately a rash of children killings began, and he's still in the lamb.
Yay. So I got a coffee bean for you. You've all been happy about the gas prices, right?
Yes.
It's the lowest. There's one country where gas prices have gone up 6,000%.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's Venezuela. Venezuela is a huge economic crisis, but that means that gas prices have gone up to about 1 cent a liter to 95 cents a liter. Still one of the lowest gas prices in the world.
Yeah.
But this is a huge thing for them, yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
I'm so sorry, Venezuela. I think no. I hate you a little bit. Wow. Why are their gas prices so low?
Because they're a gas-producing nation, and one of the things the government has done is subsidize gas so that it's not a thing. But now they have a huge economic crisis. They cannot sustain that anymore, so they're actually selling it. It's one of their main exports, and since it's gone down so much, they're having to start an internal market for it.
That's been back when Hugo Chavez offered several countries basically free gas for a while during their really big gas hike. And it made all the news because several countries said yes, and George W. Bush said, "Yeah, no, we're not taking it from a communist."
Yeah, and he had a point. But yeah, now that's over.
Knowing you, I really don't know which one you were talking about. Which one had a point, Chavez or Bush?
I'm going to leave that up in the air.
Okay. All right. Time for our next coffee bean. Our very next coffee bean belongs to...
Already did it.
Which one did you do? What did you do?
I did the one about the lady who got who her husband tried to kill.
Oh yeah, I was here for that. That means it's Brittany's turn.
I don't really have anything to say besides feel the burn and Alvaro's wrong.
I'm going to make you say I'm wrong really loudly.
Alvaro's wrong!
Brittany should come tell us about Bernie Sanders.
But he agrees about Bernie Sanders, so he's not wrong there.
What do you say agree with Bernie Sanders with?
He loves Bernie Sanders.
Brittany's coffee beans.
Okay, so Clinton and Sanders are basically neck and neck, which is great. However, I do have one worry though, is that if Sanders isn't our, if of course if Sanders wasn't the president, I would definitely prefer Clinton over a Republican all day, every day. However, if Sanders is our Democratic nominee, I do worry because socialism is such a bad word for so many people that I'm worried that people will go either not vote or go Republican just on the fact that he's a socialist. And so I'm worried about that I don't know how small or big of a chance it is. If Sanders is the Democratic nominee, will people just go Republican because of the socialism?
That's one of the really interesting polls they've done, is they've actually asked people. They've been doing the pre-polls, the early polls, where they call thousands of people in every
if
district of every
so-and-so
state.
wins versus so-and-so.
And if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, Hillary Clinton loses to Trump, Bernie Sanders wins.
Well, that's great.
If Ted Cruz is the nominee, Hillary Clinton wins, Bernie Sanders loses.
Okay.
So, in this case, we have to hope that it's Donald Trump on the Republican side. And then Bernie Sanders, and then that would be a Sanders win.
My conspiracy theory is that, you know this thing that Obama said recently about Donald Trump won't make a good president?
Yes.
That's, like, getting a lot of backlash.
Yes.
Like, he shouldn't have said that. Totally unprofessional, right? But my conspiracy theory is he knew that would get a lot of attention turning to Trump because he thinks, and which I believe too, that Trump will never actually be elected. Which,
that's actually the big thing that he just said. Are we talking about different things?
I don't know.
Obama came out earlier today, I believe, on an announcement saying, "Don't worry, guys, Trump will never be elected."
But see, okay, so he's saying that. So if Trump does get elected as the Republican nominee, then Republicans will lose, and a Democrat will be in office. And so that's my conspiracy theory, is that he's trying to get Trump as the Republican nominee so that a Democrat will definitely make office.
As long as Bernie's his opposition.
Yeah.
Because right now all the polls have Trump beating Clinton.
True. Okay.
Which would mean a Trump win if he's against Clinton.
Yep.
Which is horrifying.
Which means I kill myself. And
But
my
for the
unborn
first time,
child.
Bernie's catching up to him, too, so...
So, yay! Feel the burn. Okay, I'm out of here.
Complications.
Okay, good night.
Bye, Brittany. Thank you.
Bye.
I gotta
Brittany.
collect my raw fish.
Don't worry about it. It was a thing earlier. Perpetual coffee.
Yeah. My coffee bean is a comic book series. It's called Preacher. And it is very, very good. It's been out for a long time, since like the 1990s. I know Alvaro's looked through some of it. Alvaro read a couple pages. I know I've told you quite a bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard about it, Tony?
Yeah, isn't there a movie? Or 2 movies?
Nope, 0 movies.
Isn't there a movie about a preacher going around killing people?
There's probably been many movies about a preacher going around killing people.
Oh, okay. Trying to remember what it was.
Brittany, have you ever heard of Preacher? The comic book series?
No.
It's very, very good. It's a graphic novel. It's, I believe, 10 volumes long. Each volume composed of 6 to 8 issues. It's really, really good. It's either Dark Horse or Vertigo Comics. It's about a preacher who gains the voice of God. So whatever he says gets commanded to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all sorts of weird, creepy, supernatural stuff. Weird swamp families, government conspiracies, the Holy Grail, like Da Vinci Code style.
Sterilization.
The Saint of Killers, creepy angel things, all sorts of stuff. And it's really, really good. And the reason I'm bringing it up is AMC and HBO and a number of other networks have been trying to get the rights to this for a TV series for years and years, and they keep failing. And finally, AMC got the rights to it, and they got picked up, and AMC's starting a TV series for Preacher.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
first episode's coming out soon. There's already a full trailer out.
That's awesome.
I'm really, really excited about it. I really like who they cast as the main character, Jesse Custer. I'm so looking forward to this.
I should finish reading the series then.
You should. Alright,
That is super cool.
so, sounds like that is our show for this week. Yeah. Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week. Once again, I am Adam Kincaid. My co-host in this endeavor is
Anthony DeFranco.
our reoccurring guest host is...
Álvaro Gutiérrez Valladares.
He's from Spain. And our producer, who we could not survive without, is...
Ariel Ayers.
Our special guest today was Brittany Stain.
Bye, see you later.
That was not Brittany Stain.
Brittany
Thank you
Stain
for
has already left
listening.
the building.
And...
Have yourself a cup of coffee and tune in.